Day stood on the roof of his building, watching the big ships block the sun over Seoul. They came with no warning. 7 huge black ships hanging in the sky above big cities all over Earth. People everywhere panicked. News spread fast. Armies got ready, but no one attacked yet. Day was not scared. He was a scientist who studied tiny particles and energy. He knew that if these visitors wanted to kill humans, they would have done it right away instead of just showing up. "Dr. Han," a voice called from behind. His helper, Sue, rushed through the door. She looked worried and out of breath. "Everyone is leaving the lab. They want all important scientists to go to the safe place underground." Day didn't move. "They are studying us," he said quietly. "What do you mean?" "See those blue lights?" He pointed to soft blue waves moving across the bottom of the nearest ship. "Those aren't just pretty lights. They are collecting information about us." 3 days later, the visitors sent a message. They called themselves the Cole Group, made up of 16 different alien types who worked together to help other beings. Their message to all humans showed they felt sorry for us. "Humans," said their leader, a tall, silver alien with many eyes. "Your kind has a big problem. You try too hard to stay alive. This makes you use too much, destroy your world, and fight each other. We are here to fix you." Day watched this message from the underground safe place with soldiers and other scientists. The government brought them together to study what the aliens were saying. "What do they mean by fix us?" General Kim asked loudly. Sue, sitting next to Day, spoke first. "They think we have a problem," she said softly. "They think our strong wish to live is a mistake." The Cole Group's offer was clear. They would change human bodies to make people less worried about staying alive. This would make humans share more, use less, and be better for the planet. Then Earth could join their group as a protected world. They didn't say what would happen if humans said no, but everyone could guess it wasn't good. After the meeting, Dad pulled Sue to a quiet corner. "They don't understand something very important about humans," he whispered. "What's that?" Day's eyes looked sharp and bright. "Humans don't just want to stay alive. We want to live how we choose to live. And that's something we will fight for." World leaders tried to be careful. They picked people to talk with the aliens. The talk started, and the Cole Group let a small team of humans visit their ship over Seoul. But Day and Sue were not part of this team. Instead, they got a different invitation, brought late at night by Jun, a soldier who knew secret things. "The aliens are lying about what they want," Jun said in Day's small home, talking very quietly even though he had checked for hidden listening devices. "They have already changed 8 other worlds. We found messages that show those aliens are now just quiet workers who do whatever they're told." Shu looked surprised. "How did you get their messages?" Jun smiled a little. "They think we're too simple, but our best computer experts broke into their systems. They never thought we could learn their technology so fast." Day nodded. "They were wrong to think we would just give up." "No," Jun said, "they were wrong to think we only care about staying alive. Humans will die for freedom, for what we believe in, for each other. That's what they don't understand." Over the next 2 weeks, a hidden group formed. While the official talks went on, Da, Sue, and Jun found others. Engineers, computer experts, soldiers, and scientists, who also didn't trust the Cole Group. They made a safe place in an old subway tunnel under Seoul. They took equipment from labs and army storerooms to use in their underground base. Da led a team studying the Cole technology from the scans and small bits of information they could steal. "The way they send messages is like what I was studying before," Dad told the group leaders. "They use special paired particles that can talk to each other across any distance right away." "Can we stop it?" asked Mai, who used to work in army communications. "Even better," Sue said, showing them something on her tablet. "We think we can take it over. Listen to them. Maybe even send fake messages." Everyone was quiet as they thought about what this meant. Jun stood up, We need to learn more about their bodies and where their ships are weak. We need someone inside. Everyone looked at Sue. The science team, she said slowly. I could join them. My work studying alien life would make sense. Day wanted to stop her, to keep her safe, but he knew she was right. They needed someone on the ship. Just remember, he told her later as they got her ready, they will watch everything you do up there. Sue looked strong and sure. They will see what they expect, a curious human scientist who is impressed by their better knowledge. She held Day's hand gently. They won't see that I'm fighting against them. 3 days later, Sue joined the science team going to the Soul ship. She carried the hopes of all humans and small hidden watching devices that Day had made. Sue's first steps on the coal ship filled her with wonder and fear. The inside was nothing like human buildings. Rooms seemed to bend into themselves. Surfaces changed when you thought about them. And gravity felt different in each area. Her coal guide was named Eilish, a being with see-through blue skin that showed strange lights moving inside. Even though they looked very strange, the coal were quite friendly and eager to show off their amazing tools. Your kind has great promise, Eilish told her as they walked through research rooms. Once we fix your too-strong survival drive, you will grow in ways you cannot imagine. Sue acted her part perfectly, asking good questions, looking amazed, and playing the role of a thankful, less advanced being. But her special contact lenses were recording everything, and the small pin on her coat had Daz's secret sending device. During her 3rd night on the ship, when most activities had slowed down, Sue sneaked out of her room. The group had learned that the coal, even with their advanced tools, didn't have much security inside their ships. They simply didn't think that lesser beings would try to spy or cause damage. Sue found her way to a side data room, using codes she had remembered after watching Eilish enter them. Inside, she put a tiny device on their system, a small tool that would connect directly to Daz's equipment below. I'm in, she whispered very softly, the small mic in her collar picking up the sound. Sending now. Deep under Seoul's streets, Dai watched as coal data filled their screens. We're getting it, he confirmed. Well done. What they found shocked them. The coal's genetic change wasn't just fixing behavior, it was a complete rewiring of the brain that would leave humans technically alive, but completely different. The changed species became almost like a hive mind, their own will gone but still thinking they were free. Even worse, they found proof that Earth had been picked for complete resource taking after the change. Humans would happily help strip their own planet bare, thinking it was for some greater good. When Sue returned to Earth 5 days later, the secret group had everything they needed to show world leaders the real danger. In a safe underground room, she showed the proof to people from major governments. They don't want to help us, she finished. They want to use us to destroy ourselves. General Kim stood up. How do we fight an enemy with such better technology? Day stepped forward with surprising confidence. We used their first mistake against them. They think they understand what humans are like, but they've completely missed our greatest strength. Which is? Asked the American leader. We don't just want to stay alive, Daz said. Humans will sacrifice themselves for a cause, for future children, for an idea. The coal can't understand this because their whole world is built on practical survival. Jun nodded. We have a plan, but it needs something no other species in their group has ever done. What's that? General Kim asked. Sue answered, her voice steady. We need to attack first. Plan Trojan started at midnight, 30 days after the call arrived. While talks with the aliens went on as a distraction, Earth's armies got ready for an attack unlike any in human history. Day found the weak spot in the coal's message system. Their ships are each strong, he told the army leaders, but their real power is that they work together perfectly. They act almost like one big living thing. Which means, Jun added, if we cut off their talking to each other, each ship is alone. The plan was bold. Using the data Sue stole, The secret group's engineers built devices that could stop the coal ships from talking to each other for a short time. At the same time, a team of brave scientists would go on the Soul ship as friendly visitors, carrying small versions of the same technology. Day said he must lead this team even though people tried to stop him. "You're too important to risk," General Kim argued. "No one understands their message system better than I do," Dai answered. "And no one can make sure the devices work right better than me." The night before the mission, Dai and Sue met one last time in the underground base. Their second mistake, Sue said quietly, was letting us on their ships at all. Dai nodded. Pride. They couldn't imagine we would understand their tools well enough to use them against the coal. The team went onto the ship saying they were there for a final friendly visit before Earth decided about joining the alien group. Each person carried parts that looked harmless when the coal checked them, but together would make a powerful blocking device. Once on board, Dai's team moved quickly and carefully, putting their device together in a workroom near the ship's main brain. When turned on, it would not only cut off talking with other coal ships, but also stop the ship's inside systems for a short time. "We have 4 minutes after we turn it on," Dai reminded his team. "Then emergency systems will start working." On the ground, Earth's fighting forces were ready. Every working military plane, hidden from coal sensors in underground hangars and mountain bases, was ready to fly. Special teams with weapons based on coal technology waited to move. Dave checked his watch and nodded to his team. "For Earth," he said simply, and turned on the device. The effect was immediate. The ship's lights flickered, gravity wobbled, and the constant hum of coal technology went silent. Through the windows, they could see the other ships also having problems. Below, Earth's fighters took off all at once worldwide, thousands of planes rising toward the now weak coal ships. The attack had begun, but Dai knew this was only the first step. The coal would recover, adapt, and hit back. The real test was still coming. "Move to the exit point," he ordered his team, but his eyes stayed on the small screen showing the battle below. The humans were fighting not just to live, but for their right to decide their own future. The coal had never faced beings willing to risk everything rather than give in. Their ideas about how humans act were about to be proved very wrong. The first wave of Earth's attack worked better than anyone hoped. With the coal ships blind and alone, fighter planes hit their outside talking devices and weapon systems with great care. Special teams jumped from hidden aircraft, breaking into 4 ships around the world. But the coal weren't helpless for long. Emergency systems turned on, giving their ships some power back. They hit back hard and fast. From his spot on the Soul ship, now being emptied in a rush, Dai watched in horror as coal energy weapons destroyed the second wave of human fighters. The sky burned with falling planes and defensive fire. "We need to go, Doctor," shouted Han, one of his team members, pulling him toward their escape route. Dai shook his head. "The blocking device needs to be fixed. They're changing faster than we thought." "If you stay, you won't get out," Han argued. Dai handed him the data drive with everything they'd learned. "Get this to Sue. Tell her." He paused, then simply said, "She'll know what to do." As his team escaped, Dai went back to the device. He had realized something important about coal technology. Their systems had a special sound pattern that, if used right, could make all systems fail. On the ground, things looked bad. Even after early wins, human forces couldn't win a long fight. The coal had started to pull their ships higher into the sky, where Earth's planes couldn't easily follow. In the underground base, Sue got Dai's last message, not words, but a complex set of numbers and patterns. "What is it?" Jun asked, watching her face turn pale. "It's a suicide mission," she whispered. "He's going to overload the Soul ship's core." Her hands moved quickly over the keyboard, checking his numbers. If he does it right, the energy wave could hit all 7 ships at the same time. "Can we stop him?" Sue's eyes filled with tears, but her voice stayed strong. "No, and we shouldn't. This is what we all signed up for. On the ship, Dai worked fast, changing the blocking device to target the special pattern he found. Coal guards were getting close, their see-through forms visible through the room's door. Dr. Han. Elish's voice came over the ship's talking system. What you're doing won't work. Even if you destroy this ship, our group will send more. Earth cannot win this war. Day didn't answer. His numbers were done, the device fixed. His finger hovered over the start button. Your kind doesn't understand what we want. Elish went on. We offer to save you. No, Day finally replied. You offer to kill everything that makes us human. You never understood us at all. He pressed the button. The reaction was instant. Energy rushed through the ship's systems, creating a loop that grew bigger and bigger. The room filled with bright light as the core became unstable. On Earth, Sue watched sensor readings spike across all 7 coal ships. It's working, she breathed. The energy pattern is moving through their network. The Sol ship exploded first, a huge burst of energy brighter than the sun for a moment. Within seconds, the other ships followed, becoming bright fireballs in skies worldwide. Victory came at a terrible cost. Thousands of human fighters had died. Parts of Seoul and other cities were broken from falling pieces. And Dae, the smart scientist who had found the coal's big weakness, was gone. Later, as people began to rebuild, Sue stood at the memorial built where pieces of the Seoul ship had fallen. Their mistake, she whispered to Da's memory, was thinking we only wanted to stay alive. But we wanted something worth living for. 3 months after the coal ships were destroyed, Earth was still celebrating its hard-won victory. Services honored those who died, while governments around the world worked together to study saved alien technology. People seemed more united than ever, joined by shared pain and triumph. Sue had been made leader of the new Global Defense Research Group, based in what was left of her old university. The building was busy with scientists from many countries, all working to understand and use coal technology. But something bothered her. Looking at data saved from the ships, she found strange patterns in the coal messages. They had kept talking with their home group until the day before the attack. Then suddenly, those messages got stronger, changed in style, and focused on a far point in space. They sent a message. She told Jun during a late-night study session, right before we attacked. Jun frowned. You think they called for help? Worse, Sue showed a star map with a red line drawn on it. I think they gave up themselves to tell their group our exact location and weaknesses. This was very scary. Their victory hadn't been an end, but just the start of a bigger fight. When Sue showed what she found to the World Security Council, people first didn't believe her. Then they were afraid. Humans had used up much of their military power in the battle. If a larger coal force came, Earth would be helpless. How long do we have? General Kim asked, her face serious. Based on the message patterns and what we know of their technology, between 8 months and 1 year, Sue replied. The council room filled with scared talk until Mai, now Earth's chief of United Defense, stood up. Then we have work to do, she said simply. We need to be ready. A new phase began. Using saved coal technology, Earth built an early warning system reaching to the outer solar system. Meanwhile, Sue led a team making weapons based on Dae's sound pattern discovery. But their biggest project was kept secret from the public. Deep under the moon's surface, engineers built massive engines, technology copied from coal ships. What exactly are we building here? Jun asked Sue during a quiet moment on the moon base. She looked out the window at Earth hanging in the black space. A backup plan. Something Dae thought about before. She couldn't finish. Before he gave his life, Jun finished gently. Sue nodded. He believed the coal ship's engines could be changed for something much more powerful than just moving. What? Her eyes stayed fixed on Earth, a way to hide a whole planet. 6 months later, their warning systems found what they had been fearing. A massive coal fleet, at least 30 ships, coming from the direction of Alpha Centauri. Humans faced a terrible choice: stand and fight against impossible odds, or try something never done before, to remove Earth from the coal's reach completely. As the fleet got closer, Sue found herself standing again at Dad's memorial. "You were right all along," she whispered. "Their biggest mistake was thinking we just wanted to survive." She looked up at the stars, where the enemy was coming. "We want to be free, whatever the cost." The decision was made. Operation Exodus would begin. The coal fleet would reach Earth in 28 days. 32 ships, each bigger than those in the first wave, came in perfect formation. Earth's united government faced an impossible decision. In an underground bunker under the rebuilt United Nations building, leaders from every nation met to hear the options Sue's team had prepared. "We have 3 choices," she explained, her voice steady even though she had barely slept for days. "First, we fight. We have better weapons now using coal technology. But honestly, we cannot win against this many ships." The room was silent as people understood this. "Second, we give up and accept their terms, knowing now what that truly means for humanity's future." General Kim shook her head firmly. "Not an option." "Third," Sue continued, turning on a display showing a complex network of engines placed around the planet, "we start Project Displacement." The idea was so bold it seemed impossible. Using changed coal technology, they would try to shift Earth partly out of normal space-time, basically hiding the planet in a parallel dimension while keeping its position in the solar system. "The science is still theory," Sue admitted, "based on Dad's final research and what we've learned from coal technology. If it works, Earth would become basically invisible and unreachable to the coal fleet." "And if it fails?" asked the Chinese leader. Sue told the truth. Possible planet instability. Worst case, Earth could be torn apart or pushed completely out of our reality. The debate went on for hours. Some wanted to fight to the last human rather than risk the entire planet on unproven technology. Others thought giving up would be better than extinction. In the end, they voted. Project Displacement would go ahead. The next 3 weeks were a blur of frantic work. Engines were placed at key points around the globe. The public was told about a planetary defense system without specific details to prevent panic. Sue worked with thousands of scientists and engineers, fixing calculations and running tests until she collapsed from being too tired. Jun often found her asleep at her desk, surrounded by numbers and diagrams. "Da would be proud," he told her during one rare break. "This is his legacy." She shook her head. His legacy was showing us that some things matter more than just staying alive. 3 days before the coal fleet's arrival, final preparations were complete. The engines were cinched and powered up. Earth's military forces stood ready as backup if the project failed. In the main control center under Seoul, Sue spoke to the gathered engineers and world leaders. "Once started, the displacement field will take about 8 hours to cover Earth completely. During this time, there may be air disturbances, gravity changes, and strange things to see. People have been told to stay indoors." She looked at the faces around her, tired, scared, but determined. "We are about to try something no species has ever done. Not for survival, but for our right to remain human. For our children to grow up free." With the approval codes entered by leaders of 7 continental unions, the countdown began. The engines activated at the same time worldwide. At first, nothing seemed to happen. Then watchers at the moon base reported a strange shimmer around Earth, like heat waves rising from hot ground. 6 hours into the process, with the displacement field at 75% coverage, the coal fleet appeared in Earth's orbit, earlier than expected. "They've detected the field," Jun reported, watching sensor data. "They're targeting the quantum engines." Mina's heart sank. If even one engine was destroyed, the field would collapse catastrophically. "Activate defensive systems," she ordered. The first wave of Earth's attack worked better than anyone hoped. With the coal ships blind and alone, fighter planes hit their outside talking devices and weapon systems with great care. Special teams jumped from hidden aircraft, breaking into 4 ships around the world. But the Cole weren't helpless for long. Emergency systems turned on, giving their ships some power back. They hit back hard and fast. From his spot on the Sol ship, now being emptied in a rush, Dai watched in horror as Cole energy weapons destroyed the second wave of human fighters. The sky burned with falling planes and defensive fire. "We need to go, Doctor," shouted Han, one of his team members, pulling him toward their escape route. Dai shook his head. "The blocking device needs to be fixed. They're changing faster than we thought." "If you stay, you won't get out," Han argued. Dai handed him the data drive with everything they'd learned. "Get this to Sue. Tell her." He paused, then simply said, "She'll know what to do." As his team escaped, Dai went back to the device. He had realized something important about Cole technology. Their systems had a special sound pattern that, if used right, could make all systems fail. On the ground, things looked bad. Even after early wins, human forces couldn't win a long fight. The Cole had started to pull their ships higher into the sky, where Earth's planes couldn't easily follow. In the underground base, Sue got Dai's last message, not words, but a complex set of numbers and patterns. "What is it?" Jun asked, watching her face turn pale. "It's a suicide mission," she whispered. "He's going to overload the Sol ship's core." Her hands moved quickly over the keyboard, checking his numbers. If he does it right, the energy wave could hit all 7 ships at the same time. "Can we stop him?" Sue's eyes filled with tears, but her voice stayed strong. "No, and we shouldn't. This is what we all signed up for." On the ship, Dai worked fast, changing the blocking device to target the special pattern he found. Cole guards were getting close, their see-through forms visible through the room's door. "Dr. Han," Elish's voice came over the ship's talking system. "What you're doing won't work. Even if you destroy this ship, our group will send more. Earth cannot win this war." Dai didn't answer. His numbers were done, the device fixed. His finger hovered over the start button. "Your kind doesn't understand what we want," Elish went on. "We offer to save you." "No," Dai finally replied. "You offer to kill everything that makes us human. You never understood us at all." He pressed the button. The reaction was instant. Energy rushed through the ship's systems, creating a loop that grew bigger and bigger. The room filled with bright light as the core became unstable. On Earth, Sue watched sensor readings spike across all 7 Cole ships. "It's working," she breathed. "The energy pattern is moving through their network." The Sol ship exploded first, a huge burst of energy brighter than the sun for a moment. Within seconds, the other ships followed, becoming bright fireballs in skies worldwide. Victory came at a terrible cost. Thousands of human fighters had died. Parts of Seoul and other cities were broken from falling pieces. And Dai, the smart scientist who had found the Cole's big weakness, was gone. Later, as people began to rebuild, Sue stood at the memorial built where pieces of the Sol ship had fallen. "Their mistake," she whispered to Dai's memory, "was thinking we only wanted to stay alive. But we wanted something worth living for." The first days in Earth's new state were strange. The displacement wasn't perfect. The planet existed in a weird overlap between dimensions, creating odd sights in the sky and occasional gravity changes. Sunlight came through with a slight blue tint, and stars seemed to smear across the night sky like wet paint. 3 weeks after displacement, Sue stood on the rebuilt viewing deck of Sol Tower, looking at the city adjusting to its new reality. Lights flickered more than before as power systems adapted to the changed physics. People went about their business, but more carefully than before, as if the ground might sometimes shift under them, which, in fact, it sometimes did. "Was it worth it?" Jun asked, joining her at the railing. As head of Earth's new Dimension Security Agency, he got daily reports of displacement problems worldwide. "Ask me when a generation has passed," Sue replied. "When children who've never known anything different are growing up free." Their success had unexpected effects. While the coal fleet finally left after months of useless searching, Earth's phase shift had created new challenges. Radio waves and other signals acted differently, needing a complete redesign of global communications. Weather became more extreme as the air interacted with dimension boundaries. Most worrying were the thin spots, areas where the barrier between dimensions sometimes weakened, creating unpredictable events from floating objects to temporary gravity flips. Yet humans adapted, as they always had. New technologies emerged to handle the changed environment. Cities were redesigned with flexible structures that could handle dimension shifts. Children quickly adjusted, turning the strange new physics into games. 6 months after displacement, Sue's team made another breakthrough. By carefully adjusting the engines, they could create temporary windows back into normal space, small, controlled areas where Earth briefly realigned with its original dimension. This discovery led to the creation of observation posts, heavily secured facilities where scientists could watch the normal universe, including any coal activity. From these posts came a startling discovery. The coal, frustrated by Earth's disappearance, had turned their attention to Mars, setting up mining operations and what looked like the beginnings of terraforming. "They're still in our solar system," Sue reported to the World Council, "and based on their activity patterns, they plan to stay." This prompted the next phase of humanity's adaptation, the Luna Project. Using the same technology that had hidden Earth, engineers began building a massive base on the far side of the Moon, existing in Earth's displaced dimension, but with technology to create larger, more stable windows into normal space. "We can't hide forever," Mai argued during planning sessions. "Eventually, we need to take back our solar system." Sue agreed. The displacement was never meant to be permanent. It was a tactic to survive and regroup. The Luna base became humanity's forward operating center, a place to develop new weapons and plans for an eventual return to normal spacetime. Meanwhile, life on the phase-shifted Earth continued to evolve in unexpected ways. Some people developed what they called displacement sensitivity, an ability to sense subtle dimension fluctuations before they happened. Children born after displacement showed even stronger perception changes, seeing colors in the dimension barriers that adults couldn't see. 1 year after displacement, Sue visited a school in New Seoul, where teachers had included the new reality in their lessons. Children drew pictures of dimension friends, imaginary beings they claimed to see in the spaces between realities. One little girl showed Sue her drawing, a figure that looked strangely similar to the coal. "Where did you see this?" Sue asked carefully. "In the thin place near my house," the girl answered simply. "They're looking for us, but they're looking in the wrong place." That night, Minna couldn't sleep. The girl's drawing haunted her. Had displacement merely bought them time, or had it fundamentally changed humanity in ways they couldn't predict? At the memorial park built to honor those lost in the first coal conflict, she stood before Ta's statue. "We did what you believed in," she said quietly. "We chose freedom over mere survival. But I'm not sure what we're becoming." As if in answer, the sky above briefly rippled, dimensions sliding against each other like tectonic plates. Through the momentary tear, she caught a glimpse of normal space, and a coal ship passing through the space Earth once occupied. They were still searching, and humanity was still changing, adapting to a reality they had chosen rather than one forced upon them. Their fight wasn't over. It had merely entered a new phase. 5 years passed in Earth's displaced reality. What had begun as an emergency step had become a new way of life. Children who had been small during the shift now took the dimension oddities for granted, moving through them with natural ease that amazed their parents. Sue, now 55, her hair streaked with gray, led the Global Adaptation Council, a group focused on humanity's long-term future in their changed state. The early problems had mostly been solved through innovation and need, but deeper changes were becoming clear. "The third-generation reports are concerning," Jun said during a private meeting in Sue's office at the rebuilt Seoul University. Now in his 60s, he walked with a slight limp from an injury during a dimension shift years earlier. "Concerning isn't the word I'd use," Sue replied, studying the data on her screen. "Fascinating, perhaps. Evolutionary. Children born after the shift, especially those now becoming teenagers, were showing dramatic brain differences from pre-shift humans. Their brains had developed to process the dimension overlap, giving them perception abilities previously impossible. Some could naturally predict shifts minutes before they happened. Others reported being able to see into normal space without technological help. Most remarkably, some had begun showing what researchers carefully termed cross-dimension manipulation, the ability to move small objects between phase states using only their minds. "They're adapting to an environment we created," Sue observed, "evolving into something beyond what the Cole thought humans could be." Meanwhile, the Luna base had grown into a sprawling complex housing over 5,000 researchers and military personnel. Its expanded window technology allowed for limited trips into normal space, brief scouting missions to monitor Cole activity in the solar system. What they discovered was troubling. The Cole had set up permanent bases on Mars, Venus, and several moons of Jupiter. They were systematically taking resources throughout the solar system, apparently settling in for a long-term presence. More worrying were the detection satellites they had positioned in a grid throughout the inner solar system, devices specifically designed to search for dimension anomalies. The Cole hadn't given up on finding Earth. During a global security briefing, General Ho, who had replaced the retired General Kim, presented the latest intelligence. "Their detection technology is improving. Our projections suggest they may be able to locate our dimension frequency within 3 years." The room fell silent. "Then we have 3 years to prepare," Mai said finally. Now in her 70s, she remained a powerful voice on the World Council. "What are our options?" The key to humanity's strategy was the third generation, the children born into displacement who had developed abilities beyond what any human had possessed before. Sue established a school for these children, providing a place where their unique talents could be understood and developed. Located in a region with frequent dimension-thin spots, the facility became known simply as the Boundary School. Among its students was Jin, the girl who had drawn the Cole years earlier. Now 12, she demonstrated the strongest cross-dimension abilities yet recorded. She could not only perceive normal space, but could reach into it briefly, a skill that made her invaluable to the reconnaissance efforts. "They still don't understand us," Jin told Sue during a testing session. "The Cole. They're still looking for what we were, not what we've become." "And what have we become?" Sue asked. Jin smiled, her eyes momentarily shifting to reveal colors that hadn't existed in the human visual range before displacement. Something that doesn't just exist in one place or one state. Something that can change. In her final years, Sue watched with wonder as the third generation grew up. They didn't think like humans who had been displaced. They thought like beings for whom dimension fluidity was natural. They developed their own language, with ideas that couldn't be translated into traditional speech. When the Cole finally detected Earth's dimension signature 7 years after displacement, the response wasn't the panicked defense everyone had expected. Instead, under Jin's leadership, a small team of third-generation humans created a controlled dimension window directly aboard the main Cole command ship. They didn't attack. They appeared, suddenly and impossibly, in the ship's control center, existing in multiple phase states at once, a demonstration of evolution beyond anything the Cole had encountered in their centuries of helping other species. "You misunderstood us from the beginning," Jin told the startled Cole commander, her voice flowing seamlessly between dimension states. "You thought our survival instinct was our limitation, but it was the seed of something greater."